Hi, I'm Yue Xu.
And I'm Julie Kraftchick.
We're active daters turned dating insiders.
Here to dive into everything modern dating and relationships.
Welcome to DATEABLE. Hi, friends.
Welcome back to another episode of DATEABLE.
Have you ever dated a narcissist? What a great way
Let's start with the hard-hitting questions.
How many times have you called someone a narcissist in your life?
Everyone calls everyone a narcissist these days.
It's like that thing that just gets thrown around. Oh, you're dating a narcissist. That person's a narcissist. But we also know in recent years that it's actually pretty hard to be a narcissist, to be diagnosed.
It is, but then in our episode today, we are actually joined by a lovely guest, Dr. Alina Kastner, who is a psychotherapist, author, and expert in narcissistic abuse, trauma, and systemic therapy. And she talks about why would a narcissist go and diagnose themselves? It's not like a disorder affecting you. So it was very fascinating to hear that little tidbit. There's clearly so much more in this episode, but it might actually be more prominent than we think, even with the stats.
That's true. Yeah, if you're not self-diagnosing, because you're not
feeling the pain.
To do, though. But this episode is not about helping them feel their pain. It's really about helping individuals break free from toxic relationships through her clinical work, online content, and book. She has a book called Break Up with Narcissism: How to Break Free and Stay Free, the 4-Step Plan for Surviving Narcissistic Abuse.
And we really wanted to do this episode on this topic. So when we got kind of the inbound, a lot of times when people publish books, we'll get emails about them. And that's why we have people come on this podcast. And when we got this one, we were like, we've been looking for someone to talk on this topic. Because if you do find yourself in a relationship with someone like this, it can be so damaging, so challenging. It doesn't feel like a relationship at the end of the day because you are not in a two-sided, beneficial, loving relationship. It's one person that wants control and power and can really make you feel like you're living in a prison, even though you're in a relationship. So we don't want you all to get into relationships like this. It's really the through line.
Yeah. The Cliff Notes is get out. If you're dating a narcissist, get out right now. But what is the difference between just someone who's an asshole versus a true narcissist?
Also get out of that.
Yes. And a narcissist will actually keep you in the relationship longer because they know how to manipulate you to do so, right? But she does go into the scientific definition of what a narcissist is, all of those qualities that you can look for.
And then why being in a relationship with a person like this who has these narcissistic traits is so problematic and what it does to your own psyche and confidence.
But at the end of the day, her life's work is about helping people heal from this sort of psychological abuse if you find yourself in a situation like this. And then she'll help you recognize some of the early stage red flags and signs of being in a relationship that may not be serving you. And then what's the first step of healing once you get out?
And she is someone that clearly has the academic background, but she also has lived experience, which is what got her so invested in this topic in the first place. Oftentimes, our need to help others comes from experiences that we've lived ourselves. So yeah, this is just such a powerful episode to really get clear of what narcissism really means, the impact it has, and how to get the fuck out of it.
Mm-hmm. And she'll say this over and over again. If you've found yourself in a very complicated, tumultuous, traumatic relationship like this, the first step to healing is finding help. And we definitely recommend professional help. But to supplement the professional help, we also have an AI-enabled app that can be sort of your sounding board as you go through the healing process. This app has been trained by our 10 years of doing this podcast with all the experts and lived experiences. And you can really talk to it like a confidant or like a close friend. So that app is available at studio.com/dateable.
And it's perfect if you want to text that person. Instead of doing that, text the app. Talk to Yuli instead.
Yes.
But definitely to second what you said earlier, these situations call for someone that is highly trained in narcissism, that is a therapist, that has the credentials. So again, it's your partner partner, it's the supplement, but it's a really good way to reach out at 2 a.m. because probably your therapist isn't available then.
Right.
If they have
Hopefully.
boundaries, yes.
Yeah, if they have boundaries.
Awesome. Well, before we get into it with Dr. Kastner, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. I'm so excited to tell you about our sponsor, Avocado Green Mattress. Their certified organic mattresses are specifically designed to relieve pressure points, support your body the way it needs, and help you actually get the deep restorative sleep you've been missing. Every mattress is made with thoughtfully sourced materials and built with real care, so you get incredible sleep night after night. When I invest in something for my home, I want it to last, but I also want it to feel amazing every day. My best friend has an avocado mattress and it is so comfortable. I swear I'm over there and I just want to take a nap. The best part is they're not only just good for you, they're good for the planet. Avocado products are made, not manufactured, thoughtfully crafted with real materials to deliver lasting comfort and support. Go to avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable to check out their mattress and furniture sale. That's avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable, avocadogreenmattress.com/dateable.
I've been doing a little spring reset with my closet lately, focusing more on quality over quantity, just building a wardrobe of pieces that are well-made, versatile, and easy to reach for every day. And that's why I keep coming back to Quince. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are thoughtful, and the pricing actually makes sense. Quince makes beautiful everyday pieces using premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and super soft denim, with styles starting at just $50. So I've been on the hunt for the perfect pair of jeans. I don't want them to be skinny jeans, but I don't want them to be too wide-legged either. And let me tell you, I found the perfect pair at Quince. Their Bella Stretch Relax Straight jeans fit me like a glove. I look damn good in them, and they feel so comfortable and soft. They're my go-to jeans now. Refresh your spring wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. Go to quince.com/dateable for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dateable.
Okay, let's hear all about narcissism.
Welcome, Dr. Alina Kastner, to Dateable. So nice to have you on our show as an expert on narcissism. We've been wanting an expert on narcissism, believe it or
Yay.
not.
Thank you for having me.
We know that you have your work and as a family therapist, but you also have your personal story. So that's going to be really powerful to hear for everyone. Mm-hmm. And in today's world, everyone calls everyone a narcissist. So I think we're really excited to just debunk what actually narcissism is and how it impacts relationships.
Yes.
And why don't we just start? I mean, thank you so much for putting out a book to tell people how to break up with narcissism. But you start the book with this quote: "If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. But if it walks like a duck and talks like a swan, it's a narcissist." Please help us explain what that means. And I just have this visual imagery in my head I can't get rid of. It's hilarious.
This is not me, that quote. Unfortunately, I wish it was. But when I found it, I was like, I have to put this in my book. It so perfectly describes it. It's exactly what you see. So you see this like ugly duckling that's like, I'm a duck. And it's like, yeah, that's right, you are. And then you've got this other ugly duckling and it's like, I'm a swan. And it's so convincing that people around it will actually believe it. Even though they see that something is wrong. It doesn't really look like a swan, but they still believe it because it's just so charming and so amazing at lying and pretending to be something that it's not until, the last feather is ruffled, or I don't know how to put it, that they find out, okay, this is actually a duck. It just, describes the fact that they put on this show, really get people to believe them things that are just not true, and then even doubt their own perception. I think that's what that quote, kind of illustrates.
So how would you define narcissism? Because, you hear people be like, they're a jerk, they're avoidant, they are dishonest, but like there's a line of like what narcissism actually is. How would you define it?
Obviously, it is a spectrum. There's narcissistic traits that a lot of successful people have and also have to have, and that media glorifies and that everybody kind of wants and seeks. And then there's, going farther up that spectrum, there's narcissistic personality disorder, which is based on 9 diagnostic criteria, having a grandiose sense of self and having an extreme sense of entitlement and not being empathetic and being extremely envious and seeming, thinking that they're perfect and that they deserve perfect relationships and perfect love and perfect life. The list goes on, like excessive admiration. And there's 9 of these criteria. And to be labeled a narcissist in psychology or psychotherapy, you have to have at least 5 of these criteria, 5 or more, in order to actually be defined as a narcissistic personality disorder, like having that mental health problem. So if you're just a jerk, or if you're just a cheater, or if you're just, whatever it is that we see, that does not automatically make you a narcissist. And it is used, inflatedly, and people just abuse that word, and it's kind of everywhere, which, has its own problems because, on one hand, it's like you're so used to it. And then on the other hand, nobody really knows what it is. So it's kind of dangerous to throw it out there so much.
So we've heard from experts, it's actually very hard to be diagnosed a narcissist. What do you think is the one trait that makes it, that hump for people to become a narcissist?
I think the hardest trait to have, so to speak, or the most, the least evident in normal people who show narcissistic traits, let's put it that way, is the fact that narcissists are exploitative and they just use people and suck them dry for their own, sake. And people that are healthy in any other way would never do that, would never consider that. So I think that's the most rigid out of the 9 criteria points.
So with narcissistic personality disorder, it says that it affects an estimated 0.5 to 6.2 of the US population. Clinically diagnosable NPD is around 1 to 2%. So very small amounts. But like we said earlier, it's pretty widespread in how people define it. You start off as like the actual disorder versus more traits. Like, is there a difference? And I guess if you're on the receiving end, does it ultimately matter if someone's diagnosed or possesses these traits?
To answer the first part of that question is that there's a huge dark number, because narcissistic personality disorder is one of the only mental health disorders where the person itself is suffering less than their surrounding, right? Because if I'm the narcissist, everyone else is suffering, I'm not really suffering. I'm, getting the goodies. So I'm not going to go to a therapist and get her to tell me that I have narcissistic personality disorder. I just won't get diagnosed, because why would I? I'm not suffering.
Interesting.
So I think that the 0. Whatever you said, and I don't know it by heart to be honest, but it's around I think 6% of population or something. That is the number that's official. Then there's a number that's, not official, which is so much bigger than that. And then there's an additional of people calling people narcissists that are not, that are just assholes. Let's just put it that way. Jerks. So I think that there's 3 segments, really diagnosed because someone sent them, because they had to, because they were forensic or in jail, whatever, did some crime. And then there's the number that we all know a story of, or have a friend, or have experienced it ourselves. So there's 3 parts to that.
Are they aware that they're narcissistic? Like, for narcissists to go and even try to get diagnosed, are they aware that they possibly could be a narcissist?
Okay, so one of the, it's not an official criteria, but one of their massive, every narcissist has this copy-paste trait that is, I'm the victim, you're the problem, right? So they turn around the victim mentality. So if I'm the poor person that you're making, a hard life for, I'm not going to find myself the problem. I'm not going to go find it and get it diagnosed, point 1. So in my history and with my clients, I felt like they are aware, not always, but they have moments where it becomes clear to them that they are the problem. But because their sort of pattern and because of their issue, they immediately, as soon as they have that moment where maybe they break down and they cry and they're like, you're right, it's me, if it's not alligator tears and if it's not all fake to get in to manipulate you, and if it's actually really heartfelt, still they won't be able to stay in that feeling because they can't face it. That's why they have that mental disorder. So they have to change it right around, and you're the problem again and not them. So even if they have those glimpses of awareness, it will not change a thing because they won't do anything about it like healthy person would, right?
So you talk about the two types of narcissism, overt and covert narcissists. What's the difference between these?
So the overt is the grandiose, is the one that we think of every time we, think narcissist. That's the one we see. The loud, the charismatic, the flashy, the hot, all that. And then the covert, they still center on their needs, but the difference is that they appear to be fragile and they appear to be shy and they appear to be sweet. So it's a little bit more nuanced and more subtle and makes them almost more dangerous because they're harder to spot.
Right. Okay, the way you're explaining narcissism and how they would be diagnosed almost makes me have empathy for them because it feels like it's uncontrollable and then they, it's like they're not aware. I know everyone's like rolling their eyes at my comment, but in some ways, how, if you are dating someone who is diagnosed as a narcissist, like is your only option just to get out? Because there's no helping. What can you do?
You have amazing questions. They're like all wrapped in one. So like 100%, like, so my face was obviously a little bit ironic, but you have a huge and very valid point there. And that is one of the biggest problems, because if I love you and you're narcissistic, and I do have moments where I feel very sorry for you, A, because of your history, because of how you grew up, because that's why you're even the way you are, right? Yeah. So that's already a sad. And then B, because I am empathetic versus you're not. So I have that empathy, feeling sorry for you being that problem, you having that mental issue, you ruining all your relationships. I'm suffering, but I'm seeing you suffer with it, seemingly so. So yes, that is normal, and that is a feeling that victims always have. They feel sorry for this person and they want sort of to pull them out of their fire, but you can't do it. If you try that, you will burn, okay? Like it will not work. So the answer to that question is yes, you have to always leave. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's just no trying to make it work with the narcissist and trying to negotiate a common ground. It just doesn't work. It will burn you 100%. But yes, that is a problem. It's a huge problem because you do constantly feel sorry for them, because it just seems like I want to fix them. I want to fix that void they have in their heart. I want to put something in that. I want to love them so much that they learn how to love, but it doesn't work because you can never, and anyone who's been traumatized in their childhood knows, even if you're healthy, even if you work through it, those little traumas, they stay with you and you have to fight them your whole life. So they have a hole in their heart from that, and you cannot fill that hole because only their mother could have, or their first primary caregiver, And that's the sad truth to that. That's why there's authors and therapists who will be like, no, they're horrible, da da da. And they are horrible and they do hurt people. But I also have felt sorry for them. And I feel sorry for them when they're my clients too, because it just sucks for everyone, right?
So I feel like it's near impossible from what you're saying to be in a relationship with someone that doesn't have empathy, that can't see different perspectives and always thinks they're right. I guess from your perspective, I mean, I know you've had experience in narcissistic relationships yourself. Why are these types of relationships so problematic? And maybe if you could share some of your own story.
I think they're so problematic because when they're good, they're so damn good that that's what you've been wanting since you're a little girl or boy, right? That's the Hollywood love that you always wanted. And that is on Instagram, and that is in every good movie, and da 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 dee da da. It's a Disney story. So that is the first problem, because they just pull you in because you don't want to face the truth that this is probably not real, Like you're telling yourself, maybe I'm the lucky one and I get this love that my mom told me I could never have, right? So that's one thing that makes it problematic. And then the second thing is the trauma bond. And what happens is once you're sucked in with this incredible start, I always compare it to the first time ecstasy. It's the best thing ever. And if you want to try to regain that feeling, you never can, like no matter how many times you try. So like you have this incredible start with it, which is the love bombing phase. You want to get back to that. And once that love goes down and the devaluation starts and the breadcrumbs start and all that thing, keep not wanting to face the fact that it's not going to be that beautiful again. So you keep holding on to every breadcrumb you get, hoping. And so it's like a roller coaster ride of ups and downs where the highs keep getting smaller and the lows keep getting lower. And at some point you're so depleted, you're just petrified and hoping and walking on eggshells that there's a little bit of nice again. And that up and down spike causes like dopamine up and down, and is very, very addictive. It's like a drug addiction. I think it's the strongest drug addiction that exists. So it's very hard to let go. So all of those things are problematic, and I could go in each one of them for hours, but that just makes it so incredibly powerful and so hard to let go. And even after you've left, which is a whole nother topic, it's so hard not to go back.
Yeah.
Even though you know that it's killing you. Does that make sense?
Let's hold that thought because we have a quick message from our sponsors.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
So what was your story? What happened in your experience?
I always say I have a master of disaster in collecting narcissists before I started my PhD. But no, there's 2 big stories in my life that were narcissistic and where I learned like a lot. I always call them my biggest teacher. And I thank them for being there because they've taught me a lot about me and boundaries. And I think they brought me closer to my work, my book, and all those things. But it was the most painful experience. And my story basically is also that I thought, I have this criteria in my head about the perfect relationship and what I would want and what's important to me. And family and belonging is something that's very, very dear to my heart, where I know everyone says this, but like this belonging to something and having this you and me against the world mentality, Bonnie and Clyde. I'm just a hopeless romantic. So I fall for that quite quickly, or I used to fall for that quite quickly. The first time it took me a long time to realize, okay, until this is not good anymore, this is not healthy. I have to say the second time, it only took me 6 weeks, which is super fast to realize that this is not going to be good. But still, from that 6 weeks till I left, took 6 months. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just so hard, like, even though, to face the truth. And I think at some point if you really listen to your gut, and if you know all the toxic signs, I talk about like 24 toxic traits in my book, and if you have your eyes wide open, you won't fall for it because they are copy paste. But it's hard to walk away when something is so alluring and mysterious and inviting,
So for you, it started off strong. I guess what were the things that came in that you were like, oh, this is not a good relationship?
I think that with me, I can just go back and tell you the things that they did. Extreme control, which I'm a strong woman and I like a strong man. So at first, that is also for me, that's quite sexy. If someone like takes control and helps you with your stuff and gets involved in your things, and that can be very romantic at first, and like, DIY at home and gets involved in your family and your friend circle and all those things. And you're like, wow, this is great. We're such a team. And so I like those things. And then I have to be very specific in watching out for, whoa, hold on a second. That's one step too much. Like dropping you off everywhere, picking you up everywhere. That can seem cute, right? But after a while you realize, that's not cute, that's controlling. Yeah. Not letting you see this person, being upset when this and this person of your past life texts you for your birthday, even though there's like nothing happened. Like things like that just set it off, and you're like, okay, you have this like wrenching feeling in your tummy. And I think that's what just says, that went too far. This is weird. Why is he doing that?
If we were to look at a Venn diagram of abusive relationships and narcissistic relationships, how far is that intersection? Like, are all narcissistic partners abusive? Could you say that?
Yes.
Please explain.
So I could say all narcissistic partners are abusive. I explain in the book that there are, there's 3 types of, partner spousal abuse. There's sexual, there's physical, and there's psychological. Narcissistic people always put you through psychological abuse. sometimes, actually often put you through sexual abuse, and a lot of times also put you through physical abuse. But that's a not like, doesn't have, that's a hard, it can be not, like, I've never experienced that, thank God. But the sexual abuse is very subtle. Those two overlap. Those 2 out of 3 definitely overlap. Obviously not every narcissist is going to abuse you sexually, but it also depends on how you define abuse. I'm not talking about like strict rape. That's also a spectrum. Like if I have incredible sex with you in the beginning, and because that's what they do, they mirror what you love and your fantasies and your everything you want, and you have incredible sex, and then slowly I start putting down your body, telling you you're not doing this, but my ex did this, shaming you for XYZ, and shaming you in each direction, like whether you're too wild and hot and sexy, you're the whore, and if you're not outgoing and not doing this and not giving me head like my ex, you're the prude. So it like doesn't matter what spectrum you are, they will shame you for it instead of celebrating that with you. And to me, that's also abusive, right? So it depends on where abuse starts for you guys, but like that to me is just horrible, and that can last, give you trauma for life, because you're gonna have those things in your head next time you're sleeping with someone else and getting intimate with someone else, and wondering if that's true, and feeling dirty, feeling bad, feeling boring, whatever it is, and that starts to eat at you and eat at your self-worth. So I would say 2 out of 3 points massively overlap. What also is very interesting that I've, studied through the years, and a lot of people don't know about this, is that scientifically, like, proven fact is that psychological abuse, victims say it's worse than physical abuse because it lasts so much longer and lingers in you, versus like if you get beat or slapped. I'm not saying this is good in any sense, way, shape or form, but if you get hit, sort of, that's a slap, that's a bruise, that goes away kind of thing. If you get tormented psychologically day in, day out, that stays with you. It takes so much longer to get it out of your system. Yeah, so it's proven to be sort of worse for the victims and their mental health, which is interesting because you wouldn't think so, because that doesn't leave a scar, that doesn't leave a showing scar. So people underestimate it, They're like, oh, well, he didn't hit you, so you're fine. Like, what's the big deal if, he made you feel bad about going to your parents' house? But that's not it, because it's an everyday thing and it lasts for the whole relationship.
I just want to quickly clarify, all narcissistic relationships are abusive. Are all abusive relationships with a narcissistic partner then?
No.
Oh,
I think not, because I think, you can have, an alcoholic who gets aggressive and hits you, or you can have a cheater that constantly puts you down for some other reason. Like, I don't think that you could say it vice versa. Yeah.
Got it. I think this is interesting because I actually have a friend that's going through this right now. And I think she said that looking back, confusion was a really big sign. Like, she constantly felt confused, like nothing made sense. Like, she couldn't do anything right. She started like doubting her sanity. I guess from your perspective, what other ways does this show up? I mean, we talked about controlling a little. She also mentioned like anything went wrong, she would be the one that she would kind of go to him with an issue, and then all of a sudden she's apologizing to him. So like, what other signs are there?
You should invite your friend to this podcast because she's awesome. Like 100% right on all points. So number one, what she means by constantly feeling confused is because they gaslight. So they tell you that what you've perceived to be true is not true, even if it is black and white true. Like, I didn't send that text. You're like, dude, I have the text right here. No, but that's not how I meant it. But you wrote it. But that's not how, but why are you so sensitive? And they'll keep going. Yeah. So that's one, the gaslighting. And that can be like very soft, and that can be extremely intentional and horrific. So like there's also like a huge spectrum on that. And the stonewalling, the not talking to you when they feel like not talking to you randomly because they punish you for something and you don't know what you did. And then what also explains the confusion is they have explicit rules. Like, once you're in the relationship, like, listen, you can't do this, you have to do this, I expect this, like, they're explicit. But if you, like a good girl, follow all those explicit rules, they'll start throwing in implicit rules that they've never talked about and that change on a Monday and Tuesday and a Wednesday, and you have no idea, and you have to, and all that makes you go crazy because you're constantly trying to calculate, like, okay, what's going to happen tomorrow? How is she going to react to what I said here? Is it good that I got a promotion, or is that horrible because they're going to ban me because they didn't get it? Are they going to, and everything is about them. So like you said, if your friend comes in with something like, this happened to me, needs consolidation, not going to get it. she's going to be the idiot. He's going to turn her around, or she's going to turn around, you know? So all these things, they make you so insecure about anything and everything that in a normal situation you would never even think of. And that serves a purpose, because the purpose is your whole life is trying to make them okay, trying to balance their imbalance, trying to make their mood be okay. So that's what you're focused on. And if you're so focused purely on them, you can't focus on anything else. And that's the whole point, right? Because they want all of you, like all of that on them. And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad attention, they want it. So they'll also like hijack your special days, hijack birthdays, hijack family encounters. They will ruin anything and everything they can. And so you're constantly trying to make sense of it all, trying to make it okay. You don't understand why they fight for the point of fighting. Like all of it is absurd to you and it doesn't make sense. And I always say trying to make sense of crazy will drive you insane. And I don't know if that's my quote, I stole it somewhere, but I always say it. And it's just like so true now. Because you'll go crazy. Yeah, I'm like, they're mine now. Yeah. But it's just true. And that's part of the biggest problem, because you come out of it, and while you're in it still, you feel like you're the problem. And that's what all narcissistic victims have. They feel like they're the problem and they question themselves. And I can only tell you, if you're questioning yourself, you're not the problem. You're not the narcissist. Can't be, because they were not questioning themselves, you know?
Something else I've heard from other people's experiences is that you being the victim in this relationship, it's confusing because a lot of narcissists are well-liked. They have a lot of friends. But they're also very charismatic. So then you start questioning, like, am I the bad person here? Like, everybody loves him and he has so many friends. Obviously, I'm the bad one in here too.
Yeah.
Do you find that to be the case? Because they are very charismatic.
Yes, there's 2 points to that. First of all, they're amazing, incredible to the outside, and only their most inner circle, which is their partner and maybe their mom or something, know the truth. So that's one. So in the outside, they will never do that. They will be generous to their friends. They will be stingy with you. They will be sweet to their, co-workers. They will be jerk to you, etc. So in the outside, they're always incredible, and only to the inner core, they show their true face. That's part of the whole deal. And the second thing is, while you're in this relationship, at first it's incredible. So you're telling everyone, oh, he's incredible, he's amazing, da, 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 da. So that's out there. Then you live with them and you do your thing. Then that crumbles down. In that phase, he won't let you talk about your relationship with your friends because that's private. We keep it between us. He'll isolate you. He will let, drop friends left and right, etc. Not let you see that person, not let you see this person. My ex told me I can't see my dad because I love him more than him. Like, it was that bad. Yeah, I was like, what? He's my father. Like, what are you talking about? So things like that. And then what happens is you go quiet for your friends after they've heard how incredible your partner is. Then you're quiet. And then all of a sudden you're trying to tell them, he's abused me.
Right.
But he's still this nice person in their head, right? So they're like, well, dude, why didn't you say anything? I don't know. I mean, if you're telling me these 3 examples, that doesn't seem that extreme. You're making it worse than it is. Because you can't pinpoint abuse psychological that well. So like at the end, for everyone else, you might be overreacting. You might be hysterical, blah, blah, blah. And also very important thing to say, I think, for everyone listening, like if you go to a therapist after this kind of abuse, you need to make sure that it's a therapist specialized on narcissistic abuse or trauma, because if that's not a specialized therapist, they can actually think that you have borderline personality disorder because you might act like you have it because you're so traumatized and you have complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And if that happens to you, you will sort of go through hell again because they won't believe you, you won't be validated, so it's very important to make sure you go to the right therapist as well because of that reason, like the whole, am I the crazy one? And is everyone else like, great with him? Why? And also his future girlfriend that he's gonna show you, be so happy with. Why are they happy? Why? What? Or his ex that was so amazing, or what? So he just, all of it is a lie. So be very careful. Yeah,
I think this is one of the hardest parts too, because I think abuse too. It's like there is what people think of, right? It's like the physical abuse. And like you said, the other pieces are just as traumatic, but that's not what we're shown in media. It's not what, there's no like physical sign of it. I guess, how do you start to recognize like psychological abuse and like see that this is an abusive dynamic?
You mean for yourself or for a friend?
For both,
for yourself,
I guess.
Like when you're in it.
Yeah, like, I mean, maybe it's for you first, and then as a friend, like, you're like, no, this is abuse.
I think actually friends often, like, if you're a good friend, they often see it before you do, and they try to like say something, but you don't want to hear it kind of thing.
Well, but I think as a friend too, it's like you don't know fully what's happening all the time, right?
Oh, no.
Like I think again, like back to the physical, it's like you see a mark, like you know something's happening, where psychologically you're not in the house with them. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And as a friend, when you intervene, but the person doesn't really see it yet, then you're
That's the worst,
wrong
right?
one.
You're the asshole. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. You also need to time it right. That's very true. And yeah, that's also really hard as a friend. I think as friends, first of all, even if you have someone who like isolates themselves, gets away from you, is mean to you because you pointed it out, whatever, just hold your horses and please have open heart and open arms when they do call you again, because they need it. Yeah, like don't be mad at them still. Just keep that anger for a later time, and then just be like, you were so dumb, you know, you can do that later, but like when they need you, please be there for them with open arms and open ears. I think in my book, so like that's a very big question, but I think there's like these classic things that happen where you can be like, okay, I'm actually being abused, or this is actually super, super toxic. I need to get the hell out. And I think the biggest like clarity mark is what I was talking about, basically walking on eggshells. So if you're with somebody healthy, you're not gonna always like, is this okay? Can I do this? Oh my God, what if I do? Is he gonna get mad? Is she gonna be pissed that the dinner is not like all these things? You're not asking yourself that. In a book, Psychopath Free is one of my favorite books. I read this like 10 years ago, and I reread it and gave it to a lot of my clients as well before I wrote my book. He says that you can always compare it to a person called a constant. So this is like your very best friend, or your auntie, or your mother, or your father, or a brother, whatever, whoever it is that has been a constant in your whole life, that has never like withdrawn or be mean to you or like manipulated you in any way, shape, or form, but that was always there for you. And if you compare what your partner is doing to you with that constant, you can immediately see this is not normal. Does that make sense?
Right.
So then you can like, if it so deviates from what you think is normal, unhealthy, it's toxic, it's abusive, whatever, you know, like, and at that point, whether it's unhealthy, toxic, or abusive, just get out. Like you need to just not do that to yourself, because one of the biggest problems later on is staying in that and feeling like you're part of the problem because you stayed, and feeling that guilt of staying and playing in that field. So sort of, I call that you're part of the toxicity because you kept going, right? So that self-blame is a huge thing that you can avoid if you try to get out as soon as you can. At the same time, if you're not ready, it makes no sense to leave. So it's a little bit, also that is a timing thing, because most people leave 7 times before they actually leave.
Oh, wow.
Statistically.
7
Statistically.
times. Wow.
Statistically, it's 7 times. So a lot of people, it's more. Some it's less. So it's very hard to leave. Yeah.
I want to dive into this even more, but before we do, let's take a quick break to hear from our partners.
We talk a lot on Dateable about being present in dating, but let's be real. That's hard when your phone is basically a third wheel. Enter Brick. Brick is a simple device that helps you put your phone down when you actually want to be in the moment. You just pair your phone to Brick and it locks you out of distracting apps, and suddenly you're not doom scrolling while your date is telling a story about their childhood dog. Whether you're on a first date, having a real conversation, or just trying to stop checking your phone every 30 seconds, Brick creates boundaries with your tech without asking you to delete everything or go full digital detox. Dating is about connection, not notifications. So if you want to be more present and honestly more attractive, check out Brick. Go to getbrick.app/dateable to get 10% off. That's getbrick.app/DATEABLE to get 10% off. Is there a particular personality that narcissists like to prey on?
Yes, I have a very strong opinion on this. So people would think that it's the weak and the shy and the dependent personality disorder. I 100% disagree. I think that a true narcissist goes for someone strong, beautiful, successful, you know, shiny, glamorous. Why? Because they want to shine with you. You are their arm candy. If you're not awesome and hot, why the hell do I want you? Because you're going to make me look bad. You know what I mean? Right. So I think that they actually go for badass people. And that's the biggest problem, because you think you're immune. If you're like, no, I have, you know, an education and I'm smart and my mom taught me better. I'm not going to fall for their shit. Well, you're wrong, honey. You know, like exactly you is who he's going to want. You know what I mean? So
interesting.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I think a common thing too that people ask is like, why did I fall for this person? Like, is there signs that you can see early on? Or like kind of talked about it earlier, is they're promising the world to you and love bombing happens at the beginning. But what else can you like see to prevent this maybe from happening?
So yeah, the love bombing, obviously the most dangerous and the most beautiful part of this. So if you're in that, just enjoy it, but then try to get out real quick. But like that, if they ask you, I always say if they ask you to like go on a vacation with them on the first date, red flag. Like even if it's super hot, that's not cool. Or talk about getting married, like the first 2 weeks, give you a key to their house, blah, blah, blah. And the problem is like, I'm also a fan of like fast pace, let's go, you know, if you want it, you want it kind of thing. So that's kind of sexy also and hot and romantic. But if you have that, enjoy it, but then check for consistency because these people can't keep it up. There's not going to be consistency. If your consistency is happening over months, you know, then cool. You have this 1 in a billion partner that you found. If the consistency goes away, red flag, one thing. And the second thing is they will try. And every person I've spoken to and every client I've had, they've confirmed this. They will try to push boundaries very early. And it'll be a subtle, very, very small thing in the beginning, but they will do that. And they will start teasing and they will throw in a shitty comment and they will put you down a little bit and you'll be like, that was weird. And they will cover it up as a joke and you have no humor. And like, that's how it starts, but it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse till it's like super evident. And the empathy thing, like check how they are with waiters, check how they are with their peers, check how they are with animals, with kids. Do that parameter check to see if they're empathetic in general or not. And truly empathetic or just like, ha 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 ha, to be liked and then like, oh, she was so annoying, you know?
So maybe that's like a larger question. Like you've kind of said a few of these things, like no empathy, walking on eggshells. Like what is the line? Or are there like a couple like key things that people can look out for of like normal relationship disagreements or normal challenges early on in dating versus like they are a narcissist? You know, you can have disagreements with people or they can be, things can happen, but it doesn't mean they're like full blown narcissist.
Yeah. So I think conflict, miscommunication, that's normal and that can happen at any point in time. And I think that's also healthy. Like, I think if people are like, we never fight, I think that's a bit weird. I think you have to kind of rub horns sometimes. I think as soon as control and fear comes into play, fear is a huge one. And that feeling or evident, like whether you feel like subjectively feel like that or it's clear to the outside of power imbalance, that's where the big red flag is.
And the inconsistencies, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then how, once you're out of this relationship, like you said, there are these scars that we don't see, but they last for a long time. How do you heal from that? I'm gonna write it. What's the first step?
You have to read my
Let's
book.
go there.
You have to read my book, okay? Break up with narcissism. You have to read that book.
We can't answer this
treat
in
it
5
like
minutes.
a Bible. No, we cannot. But treat it like a Bible. Like suck it in and do everything that it says you should do. But the baseline and the very first commandment and the most important thing you have to do is zero contact. Okay. And I always say like, and they're like, oh yeah, I want to answer. No. Like you have to block this person, everyone that has to do with this person, every bridge to this person, every connected dog, whatever you have. And there's only one exception if you have kids together and you co-parenting. That is obviously a huge problem. Then you have to just minimize to the very, very minimum that you can. And only text and only written and only neutral and never get involved and not give them anything. And that's a whole nother podcast we can do, but zero contact. And that I always explain it in a way to understand, like to visualize. It's like you're in contaminated water and you're trying to heal your skin. You cannot do that unless you step out. And even like one drop of contamination, it's still contaminated. So like even one text a day, one text a month, whatever, like just checking their Facebook page, whatever it is, every time you're putting that contamination back into your pool. So you need it out. And you cannot heal in like the place you got hurt, right? It just and ironically, when you have left them, you feel like just that one contact, just that one talk, just that one will give me that closure. but it never ever will. The only thing it will do, like, and it does then, that's why people go back, when I always say the void after having left them is the worst part. It's just so empty because it used to be so crazy dramatic. Then there's nothing. And even if it was negative, it was like there was a lot and it was filling. And now there's nothing, so it feels like a void. And that feels so horrific that you want to sort of put them back in. And that's why people go back. And then whether that's 10 minutes, an hour, or 3 days, you will feel better because you've got them again in your life and you've got that filling up again. You know, you're filling yourself up, but it's poison. So like whether that's an hour later, 3 hours later, or 3 days later, you will feel horrible again because they will definitely drop it again.
So the only real healing is distance, but I think like also probably I'm assuming like regaining confidence because they've taken so much from you.
Yeah, sorry, I only answered like the first part of this question. Yeah, there's a huge, lineup. Obviously, I'm biased to therapy. I think is very hard not to do it with therapy. Gabor Mate once said like, trauma doesn't just heal through time. It just doesn't. Like it goes down and sickers in your body farther down and it seems farther away. But as soon as it's triggered, it's right back there. Like it's right back up there. So you need to work through it. Like you cannot just like forget about it or get over it. And that's what people say, like, get over it. No, you have to do therapy one way or another. And whether that for you is going to India and doing like a 6 months like meditation retreat and like finding yourself there and healing there, or whether that's, weekly therapy and staying in your thing, and whether that's, getting into a new project, whatever that means, whether that's not dating for 3 years, whatever it means for you, everybody, mends and heals differently, but you need to work at it and let it go through you. And I always say you also need to feel the feelings because people, try to park all the bad feelings away and just avoid them. That's not how it works because you have to go through this pain in order to get out of it on the other side. That's also a very difficult part to face because there's a lot of shame, a lot of regret, a lot of hurt, a lot of, all the things you mentioned. And it's just really tough. It's really tough. It forces you to really be an adult and be mature.
And for you, like, I guess, how were you able to like regain trust again? Either a significant other or just like people in your life in general?
So I think now all men are scared of me because I'm the face of narcissism for like all this topic. But jokes aside, I always say, and I have this from this lady called Manifestel. She's like this YouTube lady. She's awesome. I don't know if you guys know her, but she always says, don't get mad, get paid. And I kind of use that to say, okay, with my pain, but this is my personality. I always, and I don't mean to sound like this, like, enlightened Buddhistic, like that's not what I'm saying, but like, I use the pain and try to create something from it. It gives me momentum to throw myself into work and help others more. And the biggest pain that I had through this, out of that pain came my book, Break Up with Narcissism. So I try to use it for something positive. Does that make sense? And a lot of people, of course, use it for something very destructive, like they get into drugs, or they're very promiscuous, or they throw themselves in the next horrible relationship, or they cut themselves, or whatever it is. And I hope that with my book, I can help people not do that and go the other way and use it in a positive way for themselves to grow. Out of that, naturally, you create boundaries. You create that self-respect, and you regain trust, first of all, in yourself, because you're the one that lost trust in yourself. And then once you have that, you sort of reflect that outwards, and then people will come into your life that have that as well, that deserve your trust. And they will be patient enough to let you test the waters, and let you take however long you do take to trust them if they are healthy. I think that's another part of that growth.
Before we wrap up this conversation, I just have a very quick question out of curiosity. Is there a cure for narcissism? Or is the solution just to ship them all to an island, whoever's been diagnosed, and they just go date each other? Because they really shouldn't be out dating normal people, right?
Oh my gosh, I love that idea. Look, if you ask me for a cure, I'm going to say no because of that hole in the heart that I was talking about. But I do believe if the person actually realize, like maybe there is some breaking point for a narcissist as well. Like I don't know anyone, but if there is, let's just be positive about it. And that person says, okay, I'm done. I need to, do the therapy. I need to face my problem. I'm sure that they could reduce their horrible actions, their maleficent behavior, all of those things that they do to others and their exploitative behavior massively but I don't know if that ever sort of is out of their blood. Does that make sense? Like it you know, like even it's like a fantasy you have knowing that it's not real, not good or not healthy, but you still have that kind of, you know, it will never fully get out of them. So my answer is going to be no.
Ship them. Answer, ship them.
Narcissist Island.
Got it.
Off to the island.
That'd be a great reality show.
Oh my gosh. Aren't all reality shows like Love Island like that? I don't know. I don't watch it. But
pretty much. Pretty much.
They're already on the island.
Don't judge me.
Just keep them there. I mean, this has been such an interesting conversation. And really, like, the reason we wanted to do this with you, first of all, for people that are going through something like this, it doesn't need to feel confusing. Like, I think just having this language and the ability to see it's not you. And if you're constantly feeling confused, you're constantly walking on eggshells, like, that's not normal. That's not a normal relationship. And like, what's that difference between healthy relationships with conflicts, like you mentioned, versus, you know, feeling like I can't do anything right. I can't do anything I want to do. Like, there's someone controlling, and there is a very big difference when you're in it. So I'm glad that we were able to do that and also help people prevent and see red flags, and at least like to know if something doesn't feel right, to question it, to stop and be like,
sorry to interrupt you, but also like read books on it, read the book, and if that resonates, if every page is like, yep, that's me, you are in a narcissistic relationship. You know, that's that's how I found out the first time, literally, like, because that's why we wrote these books, you know, like to see, and then you can validate yes or no, actually I'm having something totally different, like, and you might find that in another, you know, so that's really good to try as well.
And I think it's important to have this conversation too, so we, again, like, I loved, like, at the beginning when you talked about, you know, those 9, you know, the actual 9 points of narcissism, because then we can start to be like, okay, is this actually a narcissistic relationship, or am I just not like vibing with this person? And I think we can stop using this as like the blanket word and get specific, because I do think it takes away for people that are actually going through this. It's similar to red 100%. Flags for me. It's like when we throw up a red flag, like they wore a bad belt, like that diminishes, like they are controlling and I can't like do anything and be myself around them. Those are very different things. And I think no one is saying don't look for red flags, but like, let's look for actual red flags, like the ones that like make having a relationship impossible. And I guess my final takeaway is I'm glad that you were actually really blunt about like, you kind of just need to get out. Like there is no working with the narcissist, because in other relationships, when someone has empathy and someone can see your perspective, like you do need to work things through with them. But if it's literally only you that's doing that and the other person can't, you just can't make it work. And yes, it's so hard to get out of that. And I think what you brought up around like the highs and the lows and then pulling you back in, that is such a difficult position. But finally getting out of it, you can see like this is not an okay relationship. Like this is not a relationship because I'm not loved, I'm not cared for. It's kind of like this one-sided benefit for this person.
Exactly. You are their supply.
Yeah. And it's just us, we just need to collect more data. And it's not about trying to diagnose if someone's a narcissist, but we just don't do that as much in dating. Collect the data, look for consistencies and inconsistencies, and then follow those curiosities for moments where you're like, that seemed a little off. That seemed a little wrong. I was a little offended by that. But, you know, most of the time in early dating, we're like, honeymoon period. I'm just going to brush that under the rug. No big deal. I didn't mean that.
Well, you don't want
Especially if the sex is good.
I'm living in the fantasy and I want to stay in the fantasy. But I also appreciate you saying, stay in the fantasy until you know the fantasy's over and then get out. So, like, enjoy the love bombing, but then also get out.
Take the bracelets and whatever he gives you,
Take the bracelets.
And the Thailand trip if he does it in the first month, whatever.
Exactly, yes. And then have him stay in Thailand.
Exactly.
I do think there is that line though of being skeptical about everyone, but when things do feel like a little too good to be true, just taking a beat and be like, is this too good to be true?
And I would add to our island idea that there should be like this like this is a narcissist report on dating apps, so that people, like, if it's more than 10 women that say that this is a narcissist, or more than 10 men, that person needs to be kicked out forever and banned from dating websites. Like, that is a 100% thing that they should do.
But then they go into a final round of dating with another narcissist. I would love to see.
This is a reality show in the making.
I mean, we have great ideas, ladies. This is what I mean when I say make money with the
go
pain.
head to head. You know? Like, can you imagine? It's like manipulating each other. It'd be fun. I would watch it.
I love that.
Anyway, thank you so much, Alina, for being on our show, for shedding some light on this topic that we so wanted to talk about for so long. And if people want to get a hold of your book, where can they find it?
They can get it on Amazon or on, like, basically all the big bookstores, US, UK, and now will also be in the German-speaking world.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's called Schluss mit Narzissmus in German and Break Up with Narcissism in English.
Oh, that sounds
Don't try to copy
great.
that.
I mean, I would read that.
Thank you for having me, girl. It was amazing. Thank you so much.
All right, wrapping up this episode.
Stay dateable.